Good afternoon, everyone. Call to order our city council meeting scheduled for August 8th, 2024. We have a roll call. Ms. Adams?
Mayor Clea McCaw,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Carolyn Humphrey,
Present.
Councilmember William Benning,
Present.
Councilmember Gregory Johnson,
Present.
Councilmember Angelica Landry,
Present.
Councilmember Marta Messmer, Councilmember Mark Rodriguez.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Adams. Well, good afternoon, everyone. We'll have our invocation by Pastor Becky Priest of the Hope and Healing Christian Church. After she concludes, we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Benning. Please stand.
Please join me in praying for those in authority in our nation, state, county, city, and this city council meeting. According to your word, Lord, if we do this, there will be peace in the land. And where two or more are gathered in agreement, there I am, the Lord, in their midst. Father, we continue to stand in faith, adding our supply of faith and agreement, praying and interceding for what you are doing across our nation and locally. We thank you that our prayer petitions avail much. And on behalf of the people of the United States, we pray for the integrity of the voting system. We pray that your will be done on earth as it is done in heaven, as the expressed will of the people is honored. Father, we thank, honor, and bless our active duty military, veterans, and their families. Having a military presence here helps people to remember how true freedom and having a voice is one for our nation. I thank you for leading us here to live. We thank our law enforcement and first responders for giving us a safe community to live in. Father, please give our city council members supernatural wisdom, strength, and discernment regarding how to navigate the road ahead as they serve the needs of the people by making the best decisions. Please surround them with favor as with a shield. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Priest. Councilman Benning. We'll go to item number 1, Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the agenda for our regular city council meeting of today, August 8th, 2024, be approved.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Discussion items. Everybody ready for the question? All those in favor? Opposed? Hearing none, seeing none, it is passed. And we
Not only that, big deal now is that you're mechanical line.
Oh, hey, Marta, how are you, ma'am? There you are.
I'm good, thank you.
All right. Just remember, put your phone on mute.
Is that an aye?
That's an aye. That was an aye for it. We go to our city manager report, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mayor McCaw, members of the council. Your next regularly scheduled work session is scheduled for Tuesday, September 10th, 3 p.m. here in the council chambers. And then, of course, your next regular meeting is Thursday, the 12th, 5 p.m. also here in the council chambers. A reminder that the second meeting's work session and council meeting in August have been canceled. Okay. With that, number of items to go over tonight. The needs assessment for the municipal court should be done very soon, as well as the assessment for the fire department. And once we get those, we will put those on a work session agenda, either the meeting in September or the first meeting in October. So you'll hear that at that point. And then some news, not so great. We did not receive the DSIP grant for the sewer line extension at the airport. That's the grant we successfully got for Fire Station 4. We were not successful this round, so we will try again And hopefully, the next round we'll be able to secure those funds. And then I just got the sales tax report for the entire fiscal year of last fiscal year ending in June. And total sales tax revenues were up $124,594 for the year, which is 0.46%. So that is not good news, very, very flat in terms of revenues. But good news is, since we budget conservatively, the amount that we received is $1,335,000 over budget. So that's positive news. But in June, in comparison with June of last year, total sales tax revenues were actually down $67,000 year over year, and that's minus 4.8%. Again, we're still up, even though it's only 1 month, because we budgeted conservatively for sales tax for this fiscal year as well. So this trend is continuing, and we will continue to monitor the situation very closely as we move forward. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you, Mayor McConnell.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Yes, sir?
Just one quick question, Chuck. With respect to that grant that we were unable to acquire this year, is that going to jeopardize anything moving forward on our airport and the development there?
Mayor McCaw, Councilmember Johnson, I don't think, I think we have some time, let's put it that way. So if we're able to get it next year, but I think the grant amount was in the $7 million range. So that is going to be a necessary project for future development. And if we're not able to secure grant funds or an appropriation, we'll probably have to look at financing that out of the airport fund. And I think we would be able to do that, although there are some other projects probably that need that. So that's also going to be important for the transfer of the 200 acres going forward. So yeah, it's all tied together, and I believe
Right, and Black Star and, all these things.
I don't know if it'll harm Black Star, but certainly for the 200 acres in future development, that's something that's going to be needed out there.
Thank you very much.
More questions? Thank you, sir. We'll go to item number 2, consent agenda, Councilwoman Landry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You got the long one today.
I move that the consent agenda consisting of the minutes of the July 23rd, 2024 work session and council meeting of July 25th, 2024, Resolution 2024-054, resignation of Bruce Phillips with regret, and the appointment of Karen LeMay to the Sierra Vista Environmental Stewardship Commission, said term to expire April 30th, 2026. Resolution 2024-055, designation of David Felix as Chief Financial Officer, authorized to submit the annual expenditure limited report for fiscal year 2023 to 2024, and Resolution 2024-056, designation of David Felix as Chief Financial Officer, authorized to submit the annual expenditure limited report for fiscal year 2024 to 2025 be approved.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Discussion items? None? Everybody ready for the question? All's in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Gotcha. Hearing none, seeing none, it is passed. We'll move to our public hearing. Councilwoman Messmer, are you available to read?
I can do it, Mayor.
All right. So we go to item number 3, Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that Resolution 2024-057, Development Code Text Amendment to Section 151.06.005E, Marijuana Facilities Operational Requirements, and declaring a 30-day comment period be approved.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Staff report, Mr. Pringles. Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. Formula 420, doing business as True Leave of Sierra Vista, is proposing a code amendment to extend the hours of operation for marijuana establishments from the current 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. to the proposed 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. As you recall, Proposition 207 was approved by voters in November 2020. This act allowed for adult use marijuana establishments, aka dispensaries, within the state of Arizona. Although these dispensaries are licensed by the Arizona Department of Health Services, the local jurisdictions do have discretion on regulating these facilities. As a result, the mayor and city council approved an ordinance on February 11th, 2021, allowing marijuana establishments subject to specific development and operational requirements. One such operational requirement was regulating hours of operation. So the current hours of operation, as I stated, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., was originally applied to medical marijuana dispensaries with the ordinance adoption in 2011. When the marijuana establishment ordinance was approved, these same hours were applied. Now, the purpose, of course, was to minimize any negative impacts associated with the dispensary. So staff analyzed a number of factors when considering the proposed text amendment. First, staff compared the proposed hours of operation with other communities throughout the state. And you see here on the screen that comparison. And looking at 17 communities, 10 communities either have the same hours of operation or expanded hours as the proposed amendment. One community has no restrictions on hours of operation. 2 communities require hours to be determined by a special use permit or a conditional use permit. And 4 have more restricted hours of operation than what is being proposed. In addition, when reviewing the Arizona Administrative Code, one of the conditions of marijuana establishments is that they shall operate at least 30 hours a week between the hours of 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. Now, although the Administrative Code does not require marijuana establishments to be open from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., it does allow flexibility of local jurisdictions to extend the hours of operation to these times. Secondly, staff reviewed the criminal activity related to marijuana establishments. Since 2022, which is the year that True Leave opened, there has not been a significant amount of criminal activity associated with the business. And I believe you have a copy of that incident police report as your attachment A. In fact, the chief of police stated that he had no concerns about the expended hours of operation based on the data available. Finally, staff considered sales tax associated with the marijuana establishment. Now, there will be a 40% increase in hours of operation, which means there will likely be an increase in sales tax revenues. So with any code amendment, the burden of proof is on the proponent. The applicant's application for text amendment does provide their reasoning and justification of the required text amendment. The applicant will be providing a presentation to council following staff's presentation. So in reviewing the proponent's application and justification, as well as staff's own analysis, staff does recommend approval of the expanded hours of operation. The Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval of the text amendments at their July 23rd meeting. Staff has not received any public comments to date. However, approval of the resolution would declare a 30-day public comment period. That does conclude staff support. Mr. Mayor, I would like to introduce Mr. Andrew Bauer, who's representing True Leave today, who providing the presentation.
All right. Yes. We're not voting on the measure.
All right, perfect. Mayor, Council, thank you for allowing me to be here today to kind of describe a little bit more about True Leave. Staff does an excellent job of telling you what the text amendment is. I'm going to do try to focus a little bit more on what cannabis is and what it can bring to the table. As I mentioned, my name is Andrew Bauer with True Leave. So True Leave itself is the largest cannabis retailer in the country. In Arizona, we are also the #1 retailer with 21 facilities. Curaleaf and Story are the #2 and #3. They respectively have 15 and 13 stores. We've been operating in Arizona, previously under Harvest Health and Recreation, since 2013, and the medical program got up and running. We've been in Sierra Vista since November of 2022, though. Here's the location, just off of 92. This building here is the dispensary. Above it is a Chinese restaurant, and then a vacant hotel behind it. Right now, there are security guards on site. They're there usually during more of the busy hours than, the opening. It's not necessarily open to close. It's more of conditions and kind of traffic flow. So there is security on presence that check people, kind of monitor the parking lot, do that type of thing. And then also within the facility itself, there is 24/7 video surveillance. There's around 20 cameras throughout the dispensary, both internal, external. So there's really 360 coverage of the property that's monitored 24 hours a day in our Technical Operations Center in Florida. There's also panic buttons. As this is a recreational only, so it's adult use only, 21 plus and only are allowed in the dispensary. So if you are going to the dispensary, you get your ID checked at the door, if the security's there. And then once you go in, there's a little podium, a little welcome desk. They check your ID again, verify that it's a legal ID, check the age, check everything like that. Then once you head to the sales floor, one thing that really differentiates cannabis from another, an alcohol store or something like that, before you are able to receive a product that has cannabis in it, your ID is actually checked again. So if you were to sneak past the front door, hide behind somebody's back or do something like that, before we call them bud tenders, hands, I'd like a pre-roll. Okay, let me see your ID. So that is another, just kind of that little safety net right there. Diversion's a big focus of ours, and so it's another good age gating option. Cannabis is pretty nondescript. We follow a lot of rules that are dictated by the state when it comes to marketing and things like that, as well as city rules. That's our storefront. There's not a big neon sign. There's not, flashing weed leaf, get your pot here, anything like that. It's a very clean front, a little bit of branding, the True Leaf awning, and I know we have one flag out front that says there's a dispensary there. As staff mentioned, we're looking to extend the hours from 8 to 10. That just from looking at the other cities, in Arizona, it just kind of gets us in more alignment with a lot of the rest of the state. Staff already showed this. I'm not going to hang out there. The one that has no restrictions is Guadalupe, just if anybody was curious. And then really the why. It's a couple factors. By having tight window hours, it's just a strain on the consumer. They have to have a specific window they can get to the store. Expanded hours is just, kind of brings, again, when they think of a dispensary, most people think, 7 to 10. So this is kind of more in that realm there. Again, better alignment with other cities. It will be increased sales tax revenue. I cannot say that by opening up 40% more hours that we're going to see a 40% bump. There will be a bump, but it's not going to be 40%. I hope so for retail. And then lastly, on that side of it, one part that staff didn't bring up that I think is important is by expanding hours, we have to staff those hours. So that's going to lead to increased hours for our associates at the store that, maybe some are part-time going full-time, or the ability to hire another person or two to fill those expanded hours. So it's kind of a good thing for the community that we can give some more hours to people that are looking for them. And then lastly, just through everything we've seen, there's no real adverse effects to public safety by expanding hours. The property is then just, there's more people there more often, so you have less chance of larceny and things like that. And it also, by expanding the hours, I used it at PNC, the example. Assume we have 100 customers. Let's say we see 5 more, which would be a great increase. It just allows those 105 people to come a little bit longer of time than that tight window. The parking's okay over there, but I can imagine near an early close, it could get a little chaotic over there. So this just expands it, makes the parking lot a little bit less congested. And that's really all I had. I'm kind of more available for questions as cannabis is still new to Arizona. We're still getting comfortable with it. There's some stigma around it, and happy to answer questions of council and you, Mayor.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
What are your customer counts per day?
It ranges with that store. They're honestly, somewhere between mid-4s and on a busy day, mid-6s, 400 to 600 customers.
Yes, sir.
So I come in at 8 o'clock, buy 1 ounce of marijuana.
Yes, sir.
Can I come back?
No, sir.
Okay, that's a good question. Second day, can I come back?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So the state controls that. That's
I understand. Okay, and that was one of my concerns. Out of the 400 and 600, how many times can I come back? Because after a while, if I can come back 10 times, I'm well over 1 ounce of my possessions.
100%.
at my
So,
house.
and then you're gonna have to talk to the chief over there. You're running into issues with him. The other thing that really is important with this system that's in place with Arizona, let's say that, Mr. Benning, you come in and you buy an ounce every day, and the chief's like, wow, we're noticing a lot of product on the street. Well, our surveillance, the tracking, we're going to be able to find out pretty quickly. Mr. Benning's coming in every day at 8:01, and he's buying an ounce. I can't control what Mr. Benning does when he leaves the property, but the chief can. And so we have a relationship with law enforcement. We, of course, you subpoena all the legal stuff. Let's get that clear. But if we need to work with the chief on IDing somebody, remember, you're scanning your ID. You're in our system. We will, I don't want it, this sounds cliche, we will find you.
Or he will.
Or he will. I won't.
No, good answer. Thank you.
Absolutely.
You said you had security on site. Is that in-house security or is that?
It's a third party, and I say security with that is the definition of what they are. They are an elderly person that stands in front of the store that helps to ensure that traffic keeps flowing. They aren't armed. They are, more of a visual type safety net than they're not going to stop anybody. So it is a visual safety net of diversion.
And you told you in your presentation, you said that the cardholder will present their ID if he's there.
Yeah, so with state rule, you do not have to have a security guard out front. It's more of our security team in the Southwest is ran by two former sheriffs from Tucson that have like 40 years of experience. So it's more, our security is dictated by them, and their main focus, number one, employee safety. Number two, customer safety. Number three, everything else below that. So that security guard there is for those high flow times to help mitigate some of the rush at the door or things like that. What the state requires is that physical check in the store to get past the entry point.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Can you also explain the difference, like a liquor store? Somebody can walk in there and put a bottle in their pocket. If you go to a dispensary, how easy is it to access the actual products, or how easy or not is it to access the products? Like,
It's thank you. Pretty impossible. Nothing's impossible. Pretty unlikely. I don't have a picture of the interior, but basically you would walk in and you would see examples of product and packages and things like we call it dummy product. They're empty boxes. You are more than welcome to fill your pockets with cardboard. It will be annoying for staff that has to go replace it. You will not get any cannabis, so it's all behind, either in the vault or behind the POS register system until you're presented your ID. So again, it would be boring to go loiter in a cannabis dispensary, but yeah, you can take as much cardboard as you would like.
thank you for clarifying that.
Yes, sir. Mr. Johnson.
I just want, on that 400 to 600 rate, increase in 4 hours, is that going to increase that rate, or you just hopefully to spread them out? I mean, what's the ROI?
Yes
on
to
this?
all the above. I don't have a specific ROI number that I can give you. I looked at the Mint did in Guadalupe when they expanded. They kind of said some numbers. I don't know if I fully believe what they said. It is more of a convenience factor. I use the easy number of 100 because I heard you guys talking about ASU grads, so I just have a state school education. But
U of A, huh? It's okay.
using that 100, there'll be a couple people that come in every day, but it's not going to all of a sudden jump. It's not going to be a 1-to-1 40% increase. If it is, I will be back here for more hours.
Don't blame you.
Mr. Johnson, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir.
Well, I thought it was a sad day when the city council approved the dispensary to be within our city limits. As a former felony prosecutor, I know what marijuana can do to people. I convicted a number of them. The argument that we're going to realize a lot of sales tax additionally I don't believe that. I've been a businessman almost all my life, and increased hours does not necessarily mean increased sales. You said between 400 and 600 people a day?
Depending, yeah.
Yeah, well, you're just going to spread them out, really. Additionally, I asked Chief Heiser to run some statistics because as a volunteer at the Sierra Vista Police Department for 9 years, working in the evidence room, I noticed that once recreational marijuana became a fact, I noticed that breathalyzer DUIs were way down, and blood draws for DUI were way up, because I remember almost running out of evidence boxes for blood in the evidence room. I asked Chief Heiser to run me some numbers, and he graciously got them for me. In the 45 months prior to legalization of marijuana here in the state, we had 33 confirmed DUIs on marijuana. In the 45 months afterwards, and I'm sure your business has contributed to this, we have 53 confirmed DUIs on marijuana. That's a 37.7% increase in DUIs on marijuana. And every day I'm on social media and I see these horrible crashes that are occurring at intersections, and I'm wondering, why? This seems like it's gotten to be an epidemic. Andrew, I'm sorry, you have not convinced me that you've met your burden for justification for this change. I'm going to vote no. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate Greg sharing those numbers. I don't believe it has anything to do with their facility because we didn't approve the dispensary until well after it became illegal. We were one of the last counties to get one, I think. Do you remember?
Yeah, we were.
We were.
When it was? I don't. It was.
Definitely the
It
last
wasn't within the first 5 months. But I just want to add that. Although I do appreciate the data.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh yeah.
Two things. One, this is coming back before us in 30 days. We're just approving to send this to the public at this point to hear what the public has to say. I'm always a yes for that, so I'll just clarify that down. I'm a yes to send it to the public. Greg, I share your same sentiment. However, when this was brought before us to regulate where it could go and how it could go within the city or where it could go in the city and what distances we had to be away from schools, what distance. One of my big pushes was the people made the choice to make it illegal. I can't take that away from them. We're not in prohibition era. We are not the saviors of the people. The people made a decision. That said, like I said, I agree with your stance. However, I'm not for telling the business they can't operate. Just like we said when we did it back for where they could be located, where I think some of the suggestions were 800 meters or 800 yards away from the school instead of the 300 that a alcohol establishment had to be. And one of the things I said back then, and it'll go to today, is why am I going to limit someone making money? Why am I going to limit a business doing something that's legal? To your point, I can get marijuana today. Mexico's dirt, baby. It's just as well. It's good. It ain't as potent, but I can get it today, illegally, and that's crowding our prisons. That's crowding our court systems. It's doing other stuff. So, in a way, how it's regulated and what we're doing to regulate it, at least getting it now. Once I won't use me anymore. 'Cause I don't want to be associated with doing marijuana. Once my son, who favors your establishment all the time, leaves their facility, it's out of your control. Just like alcohol leaving my facility at a drugstore or at a convenience store. And then where do we censor that? I guess is my biggest thing, Greg, is where do we say you can or can't do something that the people made legal? And that's, I'm all against it. I yell at my son every day for doing it, but he has that right at this point. So where do we come in with the do we trump what the people want or what the people say?
Just for the record, I voted against the original resolution, so.
Oh, for me, it's still illegal. I know,
Still
I
illegal.
agree.
Yeah, still illegal.
I don't do it. My son does.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have,
Yes,
I have
yes, ma'am.
comments. I have quite a few comments. I have quite a few things I want to say. So about a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Bauer sent an email out to mayor and council, knowing that this would come up this week, asking us if we had any questions at all, asking us if we would like to visit and tour the facility. And I feel like that says a lot, and I did take up his offer. I went over there and met with him and the manager and all the different people there, and we had a really good discussion. They walked me through it. I probably never would have entered that facility otherwise. I'm not a cannabis user. I don't really know a lot about it. So from the information that was given to us, it was a lot of really good information. And all that we talked about was really good. I did learn a whole lot. And I really appreciate some of the answers that were asked, and I think it's important for the public to hear as well. I would like to share some of the things that I've learned and I found out about. But one of the things that I wanted to kind of bring up first is, in our packet for the recommendation, there's recommendations for approval. They talk to planning and zoning and answered questions and things like that. And then also it says in here that Chief Heiser indicated that he has no additional concerns with the expanded hours of operation based on the data available. And based on the data that we were provided, those incidents, none of them really, they don't look very alarming to me. I know that there is some, they're restricted to the area where they're able to do their business. And so so the area that they have to do business for their options, they're not really the best places in our community. And where they're at right now, there's that abandoned hotel behind them. So it does look kind of shady. I mean, it probably is not the most ideal place. And I'm sure that in the area where they're at, there's a couple empty spots. And I'm sure if all those businesses were full, we might see more activity, more incidents. I don't really know. I can't really say for sure. And one of the things I wanted to say is that we have a lot of liquor licenses that come before us, and nobody brings up any concern about that at all. Or like everybody, the time that I've been on council, which is almost a complete full year, nobody has ever voted no against a liquor license. Nobody's raised concerns, and I feel like there's a big argument to how bad alcohol is and how it can. I mean, alcohol destroys lives. I mean, I feel like it destroys lives, and there is more information about that than cannabis does. I mean, it's a bad thing. I mean, and I like to have a drink and stuff. So, I mean, I'm not saying that it's terrible, and I always vote yes for a liquor license too. So, I mean, there's that. But based on going to the facility, it doesn't smell like pot. It's not like there's pot smoke everywhere. It's a very clean facility, very organized, very neat. As he mentioned, you get your ID checked at least twice, sometimes 3 times. So you can't just kind of, and I think it'd be hard to kind of sneak in there. Whenever I drive by, that place is always hopping. That place is hopping. It is. And they have cameras all over the place. And there's 3 places that have access to the cameras. They're in the shop, in Tucson, and then in Florida. And there's always somebody monitoring that, and they have that stuff tracked. They have their security in place. I mean, you can't just go in there and jump across and steal things. I think you would have a really hard time. They have panic buttons throughout. I think they have 9 panic buttons, so in case anything happened, they could push the panic button and they would get a response right away. So I feel like their security and their setup is really, really good. And then as was mentioned earlier, there is a limit to how much that you can buy at once. Kind of like if people are filling prescriptions everywhere, that's tracked, and you can, like, the doctors can request that, and you can see if somebody's abusing that. And then you're not, all the displays are empty. So I was really impressed with the facility, and let me take a couple seconds. And I feel like they're not going to want to expand their hours just for funsies. I mean, they're wanting to expand their hours because there's a need. There's maybe somebody, they work and their kids are in sports. I don't know, and they take their kids to sports and they're like, you know what, I really want to get me some whatever they want to get, and they have dinner, they put their kids to bed, and they go out and they can go up till 5 minutes till 10, I don't know, and they can go and get their stuff, and they're not going to be there all the time, and it will bring in some extra revenue, even if it's just a handful of people. And when I went in there today, everybody was very polite. The bud tenders,
Bud tender, yeah.
they're all very knowledgeable on their products. They also have to do, in order to work there, you have to be over 21. You have to get fingerprinted. You also have to have no felonies. So there's some different. Not just anybody can just go in there and start. I don't know, bud tending, and their inventory is very. I was able to go into their vault.
Yeah, we call it the vault.
Yeah, and those rooms, and everything is tracked. There's like things are tracked really good. So even if somebody wanted to go there and I don't know, try to snag something, there's cameras all over the place. Everything's tracked. So I feel like there's no reason to not vote yes on this. And like, if the taco shop down the street was gonna open up their hours, I don't think anybody would be upset. Like, who are we to tell people that they can't, how they're gonna run their business? Honestly, I mean, so that's my thoughts on that. And I would be happy to share more thoughts. I mean, it was a really great. I'm really glad that you reached out to us, and I'm really glad that I went, because I did learn a lot. And I recommend that anybody go and check it out if you have questions, because knowledge is power. And I feel like there is, like I grew up in the DARE program, and like 5 years ago, I was raised like, just say no, it's all bad. But I'm almost done. But the thing about this is that everything's regulated, everything's grown in Arizona and processed in Arizona. It's all grown, so you know what you're getting, that it's not anything that's contaminated. You're not going down the street to so-and-so's garage getting some, who knows what you're getting, you know what I mean? So everything's regulated, so people know that whatever they get there is safe for them to use. And it's available to them. So those are just my thoughts on that. So I will vote yes today, and then in the future after the public comment. I mean, unless everybody in the city is against it, then, of course, but I'm in favor.
Thank you, ma'am. Wow. As much as we have heard.
I know.
Passion
But,
right there.
for me, I'm with Mr. Johnson. I have multiple family members that's strung out, and it's just a personal with me. So, I mean, I applaud, the business concept. I know cannabis is growing. I know it. Just with me, I'm gonna say no. Yes, ma'am.
No, just listening to
Sir.
you.
Oh yeah, thank you for your presentation.
Of course.
I definitely want to applaud the professionalism of your presentation, and I recommend anybody do some research out there. This is not your 1980s weed purchases that I grew up with, where you can go steal stuff and pawn it or whatever, trade goods for weed. It's not how it works anymore. Obviously, like you mentioned, Mr. Bauer, there's definitely a lot of professionalism to it. The whole seed to sale, that is the process. There's nothing else really that's regulated that hard if you look at it. The worst thing is the synthetic stuff that's out there that you can get on other off-the-shelf smoke shops. That stuff is horrible because that's not regulated. You don't know what's in that at all.
We don't sell that.
Right, I know. That's the big difference. And I think that's the confusion sometimes is when people see the CBD stores that offer things that's not regulated. I would recommend you do your research for that for sure to see what the difference is. We also had a dispensary before, and people seem to forget that we had one before when it was medical only, right? And it was the same place, but people seem to forget like that ever existed. We had it here for years, and it did its thing and left. So nobody raised the issue then. So it's same location, and 400 to 600 people per day. I applaud any business that gets that in. A lot of people they would love to have that. So good on you. We are not. I agree that who are we to tell somebody what hours they can operate? Like any other business, you're a legit business. So why should we change that? Prop 207, right? The voters of Arizona voted on that, right? Mm-hmm. Who are we to go against them and say, here's what we're going to do and overstep our bounds? Because they provide a lot of things for us from 207. Go to Cochise College, see how much fundings they get for their training from that. Look at our PSPRS, what's given to us from Prop 207, locally. Obviously, not to mention sales tax, we talk about all the time. People are okay with that sometimes, but not other times. I don't understand that either. But it's good for us all around when we look at our budget whole thing. There's a lot of research out there that's been done. We've been to a league conference. Weed Maps did a really good presentation on them about cannabis versus opioids. And, we all grew up doing that being told it's a gateway drug, and obviously the research is done recently. Opposite effect. People are getting off opioids and onto cannabis, which is legal. I've talked to some veterans that love going to the bud tenders and say, look, here's where I'm having pain. What do you recommend in your professional opinion, whether it's cream, whether it's, smoke or whatever. So that way better than what the VA is giving. Trust me, that synthetic stuff the VA gives you makes you crazy. I'm not a fan of it. So if going to help somebody like that's in pain have a better life, I'm all for it. And again, Angelica Cinnamon liquor stores, same thing. Nobody, we're very strict on certain things. There's places in town that are right next to churches and schools that sell alcohol, but nobody's jumping up in arms. Nobody's protesting about that. So another legal, legit business. So I definitely will support that. Thanks.
So tonight, we're just voting on sending it
30 days.
To the public,
to the public.
which is never a bad thing.
All right, any other
Otis Marta.
comments? Oh, Marta,
Marta.
you have anything, Marta?
No, I have no comment, sir, thank you.
Thanks, Marta.
Everybody ready for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-2,
Just like the last time.
you passed.
On the hours.
Thank you, sir.
I might change next.
So we go to,
30 days.
we go to new business. Councilman Rodriguez.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I move that ordinance 2024-005, fiscal year 2024-2025, property tax levy be approved.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Staff report. Good afternoon, Ms. Jen.
Mayor, members of council, the city held a public hearing on the FY25 primary property tax levy on July 25th in accordance with state statute. There have been no public comments concerning the levy, and with council's approval of the ordinance, the rate will be set at .1033 per $100 of assessed value, which will generate an estimated $387,167 for this fiscal year. This will finalize the budgeting process for FY25, and the final budget book will be available to council mid-October at the earliest.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions, comments? Marta, you have anything?
No, sir.
All right. Wait till, you good? All right, everybody ready for the question? You have any questions?
No, sir.
Everybody ready for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
She went quick.
All those opposed? Hearing none, seeing none, it is passed. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Jen.
Thank you so much.
And we'll go to item number 5. Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that ordinance 2024-006, adopting the 2012-2014 amendments to the tax code of the city of Sierra Vista be approved.
Second?
Been properly moved in second. Staff report. Mr. Fix-It. Mr. Felix.
Mr. Fix-It?
You fix it, officer.
Fix it, Felix. I think
Fix-It Felix.
it's a movie.
There you go.
Mayor, members of council, the Arizona state law establishes the model city tax code that all cities in Arizona must follow. We do have options we can choose on various pieces of the tax code, but the general tax code is set. It is done this way to make it easy on businesses doing business in multiple cities within Arizona, so they've got one general tax code to follow. Before about 2012, the League of Arizona Cities maintained the code due to a simplification process that the state went through to try and make it easier on remitting taxes for businesses and making it more congruent. They actually moved the maintenance of the code to the Arizona Department of Revenue. That's where the code is maintained right now and is actually on the Arizona Department of Revenue's website. Periodically, they go through and update the code based on changes of state law. For instance, one of these changes is the change of the food for home consumption classification as a subset of the retail sales to a separate category. We are required to follow the code. The code is established by the state. I'm not quite sure why we have to adopt what we have to follow anyway, but it is a requirement that we do adopt these model options and these model updates. And I've looked at them. I see nothing that would have any major effect on any business in town. Usually it's reporting and clarifications and different definitions of what have occurred before. I'll be happy to try and answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, comments? Everybody ready for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, seeing none, it's passed. Thank you, sir. And item number 6, Councilman Benning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that Resolution 2024-058, authorizing the city to accept a grant offer from the Arizona State Parks Non-Motorized Grant Program be approved.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Staff report, Mr. Kirkpatrick. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and members of council. Sorry, I hope you can hear me. On May 1st, 2023, Public Works staff submitted an application through the Arizona State Parks Heritage Fund Non-Motorized Grant Program. These funds were applied for in order to construct an ADA accessible public restroom at Garden Canyon Linear Park off St. Andrews Drive. This project will be considered phase 3 of the build-out effort at this location utilizing state park funds. This application requested funding to construct an ADA accessible restroom near the newly constructed trail and parking lot completed in phase 1 and 2. The awarded grant amount is $120,000 with a city match of $30,000, totaling $150,000 of project funds. This approved resolution, along with a formal grant agreement, would act to accept the grant funds and terms. I'm open to any questions.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions?
Just a quick one.
Yes, sir.
This has started back in 2008. All right, so when this first was when this linear park was first voted on, so the pads are out there now. There's different size pads. If you look at the map or you look at them, I don't know how to explain, but which one was going to be at the bathroom? Is the bigger pad is in the middle?
The bathroom itself is actually not going to be one of the existing pads. Those are future Ramada pads.
Ramada pads. Okay, so it's not going to be any of those pads. It's a different spot altogether.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Comment too. Like, it's kind of the same comment I made at the work session. I think this is really great news, especially in that area. You know, you're supposed to drink a lot of water here in Arizona, and so if you're not with your family going for a long walk, drinking your water, I mean, you're never more thankful for a bathroom when you really need it. And so I'm really glad that we have this and that it's ADA accessible. So this is really great news.
Any other questions? Comments from the dais? Thank you, sir. Everybody ready for the question? All those in favor? Marty? Are you in favor or against?
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm in favor.
All
Sorry.
right. Thank you, ma'am. I was opposed. Hearing none, seeing none, it is passed. And we come down to the call to the public. We have a couple of calls to the public this afternoon. First is Mr. David Jones with the presentation, sir, concerning pickleball. Good afternoon, sir. And sir, you have 5 minutes.
Okay, my name is Dave Jones. I live at 3402 La Terraza Drive here in Sierra Vista. I want to talk to you about pickleball tonight. And so here is a chart that's out of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. The one on the left is the one that's actually in the plan. The one on the right is one that I reformatted so that the things that were most desired are at the top. And as you can see, I hope you can see those on your monitors. Splash pads, water features were the most desired. After that became playgrounds, walking paths, ramadas, and dog parks. And I think that maybe Roadrunner Park will take care of those, Laura? You can't answer, I'm sorry. So then working on down number 6 is pickleball courts. And then you see sports fields, which I assume is part of the sports complex now, as well as tennis courts, running tracks, and volleyball courts. So I would like for the city to consider adding another pickleball complex to our facilities that we have now. Last year, the High Desert Classic was sold out with 153 players, and using Laura's formulas, that equated to almost $180,000 in out-of-pocket spending. With the trickle-down economic impact, that came to $426,000. Pickleball is the fastest-growing sport in America. As you can see, in the last 4 years, it's grown over 200%. Quail Creek has 32 courts, Green Valley has 24 courts, and we're going to have soon the High Desert Classic 5. That'll be later in September. So it's a very popular sport. I play it. I wish I'd get William Benning to play, but we'll have to wait and see. There's good news to this popularity, and that's that it brings money into the city. The bad news is that when we do have a tournament, people like me can't play on the courts because they're usually completely dedicated to the tournament. I think we have about 5 or 6 tournaments a year. So where could we put a new court if you were agreeable to that? There are 3 courts at the country club. At the work session meeting, Kenny Downing said that there's about $40,000 to refurbish those courts, but then Chuck also said that he might need that property for something else. You might need it for a parking lot expansion if we put a community meeting room there that would house 250 people. So that might not be a good location. The current pickleball location is shown on this slide, and I think if we were to expand and put more courts in, this location will really be good for a couple of reasons. One is if all the courts that are there now are currently full and there are people waiting to play, if there were other courts that are available nearby, they could just walk over to the new courts and play there. Also, there's, as you may know, there are 2 new restrooms there, which are great, and that would be good for the people that are playing. There is a possibility, I think, according to Laura, that the basketball court that you see there down at the bottom could be converted to pickleball courts. But as you can see from the size, that would only allow maybe two courts to be put there. And also, back on the desired amenities, basketball courts were pretty high on the list. They were number 12, so I'd hate to kick a basketball court out to put in more pickleball courts. So pickleball has great economic impact, and I would like for you to consider perhaps adding more courts. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Next up is Mr. Kevin Means, reference swimming pool.
Yeah, we'll do it together.
Yes. Welcome.
Yeah, we're together.
Oh, yes, most definitely. So you have 5 minutes. You have a green light here.
Okay.
Once you get, like right now, yellow and red is your time has expired.
Okay. Cynthia and Kevin Means, we're at 5230 East Ash Canyon Road in Hereford. And some of you may remember me from the Save the Pueblo del Sol. My hair's different, but I wear the exact same thing so you guys wouldn't be too confused. Anyway, at that meeting, we talk about the community of Sierra Vista, the community of the club, the pool community, and it's not just a golf course. That was one of the things that was echoed. All those things were echoed by the city council members after when there was discussion. So we felt so happy when the club was saved, and of course we thought that would include the pool. We have heard from 2 very reliable sources that the plan is to not have the pool anymore. And that is very concerning, upsetting, and actually quite devastating for those of us who use the pool. We heard actually from Laura of Park and Recreation, straight from her, that she was prioritizing the golf course, couldn't talk to anybody about the pool, and that it would be closing immediately upon the city taking possession in September and likely would not even be open next year. And of course, we're used to it being open from mid-March to November. Also, she said there were no lifeguards and we would need 2 there. And noticing that there was recently a city advertisement for lifeguards at the Cove, we were wondering why there wasn't one for the pool at Pueblo del Sol. And also, we understood that things might change, but we never thought that, maybe, no more memberships, but we never thought the pool would be done away with. As far as the number of lifeguards necessary, city regulation number 7, as it pertains to lifeguards, says you need 1 lifeguard per 2,000 square feet. I'm not sure that the pool at Pueblo del Sol is larger than that, so we would not need 2, as Laura mentioned. We would only need 1. And as far as getting lifeguards, all you have to do is advertise for them. There are swim teams, college, high school, maybe military people, and often training the kids of the firefighters and police is a pretty common thing. So I think that it would be possible to handle that. We also heard from a reliable source who is a friend of the city manager that their expense of keeping the pool open would be too much, and that there was very strong consideration being given to not having that pool anymore. But that the city manager was a reasonable person and that would listen to us, so that's why we're here. As I said before, the pool is really important to us. We go to our exercise classes there. Most of us are senior citizens because of the time of day. It's convenient for us. It's not younger people who are doing other things. And as Cassie Burns, who will be coming up soon, will mention all the reasons why we really need it. It's not just a workout for us either. It's not like we drop by for a workout and then we leave. It's part of our community, our social life. And we are very strong supporters of the club. We are as much supporters of the club as any golfer who goes there. We bring in non-members. Our party of 4 on the Friday night dinners and now it's 8. And a couple of those people aren't even members of the club. Everywhere we go, we talk about the club. I talk, Checker, the cleaners, people at my nail salon, my hair salon, everywhere I go, I talk about it and inform them you don't have to be a member even to come and eat there. And they had more people on Friday night than they've ever had before. And we would actually like to add more classes. And we would come to all of those too. And the members of the club now are the grassroots of your beginning of how you're going to have people even come to this city facility. And I think if you were to look at the bills we pay there and how much we use the facility, even for lunches and dinners and comfort drinks and, order something at the pool, our bill is usually $1,000 plus every month. And I don't think that that's a group that you want to discourage, because they can't, come to the pool. I would also encourage you not to look at the number of people here supporting it. We didn't have a chance to get a whole bunch of people over here for this, or the sign-in sheets because I'm out of time.
Yes, ma'am. Your time has expired.
Well, we were just hoping you could save the pool.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. So you and Cynthia and.
Does he have 5 more minutes? Does he have 5 minutes? And I could take it? We're both signed.
Technically, he does.
You'll take it.
I'll be very brief. Thank you for the time you have. I know everybody's working late. We appreciate it. The pool really does get used. It gets used quite a bit. We were there yesterday. Our family's in town right now. We took them to the pool yesterday. Then we went and had lunch at the facility. And for what it's worth, if you've never been there, I don't know if you have or haven't, it's in very good shape. Seems to me it would be a shame to shut it down instead of figuring out how to keep something that's already in motion going. Seems like. And besides, it gets my wife out of the house. So, when you keep the pool open, please. So. Thank you.
Well,
that's a good. You got to go home, man.
Yeah. You have a doghouse because you're going to be in it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Cynthia and Kevin. We have a couple more. Ms. Jerry, reference the animal shelter. Okay.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not used to this. Mayor, City Council, I'm Jerry Fredenberg. I've been a volunteer at the animal shelter here in Sierra Vista for 6 years. I'm speaking in regards to the $1 million donation given to the Sierra Vista Animal Shelter. It's what was discussed at the work session on August 6th. First, I want to thank you for becoming involved. The people in this community love their animals, and they support the animal shelter as demonstrated by the $1 million donation received on July 19th. Council budgeted $2 million for the animal shelter expansion. After the budget passed, the animal shelter received a $1 million donation specifically designated for the shelter. Simple math. The animal shelter should receive the $3 million. Does anyone on council want to divert $1 million donation away from the animal shelter for other projects? Because that's in essence what would happen. Give the animal shelter the $2 million budgeted, the $1 million donated. That's the right thing to do. Your decision will impact donors, and that includes me. It's currently in my will, but if the city is going to use it for other than what it was designated, it won't be in my will any longer. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And we call Miss Betty Jo Engel. Ma'am, you have 5 minutes as well. Welcome.
I never needed a microphone in my life. I am a volunteer at the animal shelter, my official title being cat cuddler.
Cat cuddler.
We were budgeted for $2 million. A very generous donor gave us another $1 million for a total of $3 million. Sometime in the interim, the city manager removed $1 million from our budget. And I'd like to know where it was, where it went. Nobody said anything. There's no evidence of where it went, and that sounds like a legal issue to me. I will fight for my animals. Thank you. I told you I didn't need a microphone.
We heard you loud and clear. Thank you, Betty Jo. Next, we have Miss Cassandra Cherry, reference the PDS pool.
Good evening, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Hi. Do I need to say where I live and all that stuff?
Yeah. Oh, please state your name, where you live. You have 5 minutes. Red, your time expired.
2916 St. Andrews Drive, and here to talk about the pool. Actually, let me start out with this town in particular. I have a horrible ankle injury that I got a lot of years ago, but this is a lifetime thing for me. So I looked up on the internet where in the United States has the least amount of barometric pressure changes, and they said south of Tucson, which left very few choices as you look at it from another state to see that this is sort of the bigger community. And we bought our house on this street because of the country club being right there. We do not play golf. We eat there all the time, and we are in the pool all the time. Because on land, I have zero balance, can't do anything, maybe a little chair yoga, but my ankle doesn't support me doing anything unless I'm in liquid. Your town doesn't think a whole lot of your indoor pool. They really loved the outdoor pool they used to have. And I would say all the seniors that are in our pool, it's a therapy. We need it for that, not putting stress on joints and all of that kind of stuff. Our mayor, Paul, we call him mayor of the pool, he's just getting done with some back surgery and is so waiting to be able to dip in and be able to walk back and forth like he used to do. I haven't had the heart to tell him that the pool is going to be closing. Also, I'd like to, there's a point where I think we could work on as a town being a little more proactive instead of reactive. The fact that there were, we don't have lifeguards, it's not even possible to keep it open another day. I have trouble understanding that, in that if you know your lifeguards are moving on to go to college, then you know you're going to be needing more. So the fact that the Cove doesn't have any is shocking to me too, because now you have this big space that you've created for this town, and yet your town can't even use it. I would just like to say that, you know, our water is very important. Old people don't like the water in that pool over at the Cove. The skin sloughs off, the chemicals seem to be much harsher, and there's no vitamin D that you get. And that's a big thing for COVID, vitamin D. It keeps us healthier and stronger as the senior community. So I guess I would just like to say, I hope you can see that it's not just a pool. I was asked to be a Sierra Vista grandmother to kids that didn't have a grandmother that could visit very often. And one of your military families that's got 3 kids, and I've honored, but that came from me being at the pool with them. People are teaching their babies to swim there. Like, any of you just come by to see what's going on. There's a lot more activity than you think there is. Lots of families that homeschool their kids go to that pool, as well as the older people, and we all get along really well. I guess that's about it. I'm gonna say, my husband, who you've seen before, but he's back in different clothes.
Thank you, ma'am. And our next one is William Burns. Sir, you have 5 minutes. Green
Thank
light.
you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members
you,
of the
sir.
council. So I belong to Cassie, so we have the same thing, but I'm going to take a little different tangent since we've heard the value of the pool to individuals. As a businessman and as a city, I know that you look at revenue, and that sometimes is a decision here. If we step back and look at how the club has been managed over the past few years, it's run at a deficit every time. And the reason for it is speculation. I think that the city has seen, well, okay, it wasn't properly managed, and so the revenue wasn't supportive of it. And I can say the exact same thing for the pool. The pool is supposed to be managed well as far as people coming in and out of there, making sure that they're members and capitalizing on people that should be paying as well as guests, and it just hasn't been. The other real missed target with the pool is the food service. So a couple of years ago, we noticed that after suggesting that maybe we look at generating revenue, they did put up signs saying, hey, no food outside. If you're hungry, dial this number. People still bring in their own food, and there's no food truck. There's no special, you know, if any of you have ever had kids at a pool, they get hungry pretty quickly. And if there was some type of a convenience right there at the pool, they're going to go for it, and people will eat it. So I think we missed, or the club has missed, the opportunity to generate revenue for the town and for itself. And really, that should be the angle here as well. It's really nice to think that we would be serving a slice of the population here by keeping the pool open, but we all know it needs to make fiscal sense. And I don't know if in the business models we've looked at that, or the management company, they'll be looking at it and saying, hey, here is a pool, to Kevin Means's point, it's already existing. What can we do to turn that as a profit as well, not just the club? And I'd be happy to help in any way I can to give my past experiences and observations of being at the pool often, but that really should be something to look at. I totally respect that, look, you're just taking on this thing now, and you've got a new management company. Yes, you've done your research, but it's an unknown quantity as to what it will accomplish. And saying, all right, for the remainder of this year, we're going to shut it down, but we're going to do our due diligence for next year, and to see whether or not that pool can operate at a profit and service the needs of the community. And I think that should really be the focus behind it. So that's my angle on it. I could say that, hey, I really appreciate being in the pool and how nice it is, and wearing my matching top and pants. But it really is about making sure that we also service the needs of the community and generate a profit in doing so. And then if we can do both, then I think we've hit a home run. So I'm happy to help in any way I possibly can. I appreciate so much the town taking on this big challenge just in keeping the club open. But let's think about ways in which we can make it even more successful and look at what's already there and amplify the resources to generate a profit and for the needs of the community. And I thank you for listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. And we'll close the call to the public. And we'll go comments and requests of the council. Start with Councilman Benning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was going to do no comments, but first I want to thank Pastor Priest from Hope Healing Christian Church to come out and bless us tonight. But after tonight's conversation on the dais and after listening to the public, such a blessing we live in this country where we can air what we believe, we can talk about what we feel, we can have discourse, even on the council. We may or may not get along every time. We're not always, for those people out there, thousands watching on YouTube, we don't always agree and say 7 for 7 and vote the same. We have discord. That don't mean me and Councilman Johnson disagree tonight that we ain't gonna like each other when we get up and walk off the dais. And that's the same with our community in this country. So just what a blessing. And people coming in and talk tonight, I thank y'all. It lets us hear more from the public. I slow down some on some things we hear and let the government take its course. But in today's world, you hear so much on social media and so much on the news of, I don't like you because you're blue. I don't like you because you're red. I don't like, when I say red and blue, I'm talking political backings, by the way. Ain't no red and blue people, but, and just hate without stopping and listening to what people are saying. So, and that was nice to see because we are a representative of this community on this dais. We all come from different worlds, different places we live. Like the mayor said earlier tonight, where he's from and upbringing and his family members, some things dictate and change how we think, and same with the community. So I just want to say I'm blessed. I'm glad I'm on this dais. I'm glad the people believe in me, and I'm blessed to be working with these same council members. So thank y'all, and thanks to the community for coming out. And for my thousands of people watching on YouTube, can't forget about them.
It's just Marta.
Oh, we're here. And that's all, Mr. Mayor. I just be blessed, Sierra Vista, and thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Johnson.
Nothing to add.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Landry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will take up some of Councilmember Johnson's time because I got a lot of things I wanted to share today.
It's her night, ain't it?
What'd you eat today?
Yeah, what'd she
Yeah,
eat?
How did they feed her?
It's not going to be as long. I'm sorry. No, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of things I do want to share. And first, I want to thank everybody who came out today and who shared their thoughts, and for staying for the whole time. That's always really great. Sometimes it's not super exciting. I feel like tonight was pretty good. So thank you for that. We always appreciate when people come out and share their thoughts. It's very important to us. So I did want to share that Southwest Wings was recently happened July 31st to August 3rd, and we were all invited to be able to participate in a field trip. So I went ahead and took them up on that offer, and I went out. They have a lot of different places that they go to, so I was able to go with a guide and some people to Huachuca Canyon, and that was really nice. And one of the ladies that was in the group came from Connecticut. She is a teacher, and she drove down across country. And this was one of the main reasons that she came down was for this Southwest Birds Festival. So I thought that was really cool, and I got to go in there and kind of see her excitement at seeing some of these birds. People are serious about their birds. They really are. So that was really cool to see that. I'm not really a bird watcher person, so that was really eye-opening to me. It gave me a greater appreciation for kind of what's out there and opened up my eyes to kind of seeing what maybe we don't always pay attention to. I was lucky enough to be able to see a Trojan, which I guess that's something that a lot of people want to see. It's a very beautiful bird. It has like a kind of like a bark sound, like it barks kind of. So that was really cool. I was really fortunate to be able to do that. So, and also on the latest podcast for the city, if you didn't know, the city has a podcast. The latest one, there was somebody that came up from Southwest Wings and Sabo. And there's also talk about Hummingbird Month as well. So if you haven't tuned into that, I definitely recommend that you do. It has a lot of really good information. So if you've never attended one of these, definitely check it out next year. There's a lot of different vendors and a lot of really great courses and field trips and stuff. So that was really cool. And then also Hummingbird Month. It's Hummingbird Month this month, and a lot of businesses have various specials going on. On the city website, there's an area that has more information about a lot of different events. The West End Coffee Company, they have some special drinks there. Today I tried the Hummingbird Harmony coffee. It has lavender syrup, and it was really good. So definitely check that out if you haven't. There's a lot of events going on and fun things to try. So it's a great thing to support. Next weekend, Saturday the 17th, there is the Hummingbird Triathlon that's going to be going on in the morning. Might kind of go out a little bit past noon. I'm not really sure. So if you're out and about, just be on the lookout for cyclists and runners. It's going to be starting in the Cove, and then the cyclists will go down to Mosin and back, and then the runners will kind of be in this area. So if you're out and about, just be aware of that. Maybe kind of push your errands back a little bit, just to make sure everybody's safe there. And thanks to all the people that are going to be volunteering and keeping the participants safe. We really appreciate that. And if you did miss up the sign up for that, or maybe you don't want to run or swim, you want to cycle, the first Saturday in October the 5th, NAMI has their 8th annual Sky Island Tour. So if you maybe you're interested in that, this is a great time to start training. They have a distance for everybody: 5 miles, 20 miles, 30 miles, 44 or 62 if you're really, really ambitious. So you can always go to www.skyislandtour.com to sign up and to find out more information. I just have one more thing. If you're still following me. And if you're not aware, in our mall, there's the Sierra Vista Community Theater, and they put on a lot of different plays and things like that. So right now, they're currently have, it's called Over the River and Through the Woods. So it's Fridays and Saturdays at 7 p.m. and Sundays at 3 p.m. And the last showing will be on the 18th next weekend. So if you haven't checked it out and you're interested, definitely give it a try. I think you'll really enjoy it, and that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilwoman Messmer, you have anything?
Thank you, sir. I have nothing.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Rodriguez.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, Mr. Mayor. Again, also thank you for people that came out to speak. Always good to hear from them. We've all been watching probably some of the Olympics. Some of them are, very interesting. Some of them are more of a snooze fest. But the cool thing about the Olympics is we have a local tie to our community in a few ways. A young lady by the name of Jasmine Schofield, who was a lifeguard at the pool on the fort, competed for her dual citizenship country of Dominica. She broke a record for them, so a local connection there. Also, a previous Olympian is a current firefighter Captain Adam Setoff. He pleaded in 96, 2000, and 2004. So it's good to have that Olympian tie to our community. We have a big reach, so it shows how the Hummingbird capital of the world is just kind of touching everybody, the Olympics-wise. So maybe next time we can get some hummingbirds on their caps or something like that. I don't know. They had the local fire union, and Vinny's did a fundraiser for tip of firefighter to help Border Patrol agent Michael Waits. I want to thank Chief Heiser, who actually worked a lot of the evening. Took off his uniform and got in there and got his hands dirty. So I really appreciate that. A lot of people mentioned that you were working hard. So thank you for that, giving back to the community. We got to say farewell to Major General Eubank, who was a big part of our community. Him and his wife Kim and daughter Emerson. Specifically comes to mind being at the Boys and Girls Club, putting together bicycles, and there he was, a 2-star general, putting together bicycles for our community. You don't get that anywhere else. You will not see very many 2-star generals putting together bikes, and those kids don't even know that receive those bikes who put it together. So, very special person in our community. He's moving on to Fort Leavenworth, so it's good to see him. It's good to have him here, but sad to see him go. Our staff was working hard because we had a lightning strike during the monsoon, right, to get the lights back on. So hats off to the staff, because as beautiful as monsoon is, very destructive, as we all know. But they worked hard to get those lights back on, so we had some issues with the lights. So thank you to the staff for doing that. I want to congratulate those who were on the ballot after the primaries, but voters really need to get out there and vote, because those numbers are very sad. You can't just want and hope for change. You really got to get out there and vote. Primaries aren't very sexy, I know, but this, it's a case in point. Some of them are very close, and that's just from people not going to vote. So definitely do your part. And it's your duty to go out there and vote. So I recommend you do your research and get out there in November. Yeah, the riding club, for sure. There was some damage out there after the storm. I went out there, checked it out. You know, they worked hard. They worked really hard to get that stuff cleaned up. I know Laura went out there and checked it out for herself as well. The community came together, gave a bunch of donations of supplies, money, things like that, to their nonprofit. Luckily, none of those horses or humans were hurt, because if you went out there, there was pieces of wood and metal that shot through water troughs, so that was a pretty powerful storm. Microbursts that came through there, so it could have been worse. The tack rooms that flipped over on their head, I mean, those are heavy, heavy tack rooms full of stuff that they flipped over. So very, very powerful storm that went through there. So they're still trying to get that back right. So feel free to stop by there or give a donation. I'm sure they still need some supplies to get it back right. Thunderbolt and Councilman Landry talked about the triathlon. There's also a youth triathlon at the end of the month. It's Thunderbolt Youth Triathlon. So Saturday, August 31st. Same thing, but for the kids. So they always need volunteers to go out there as well to help out with that. So that's Saturday, August 31st. And then finally, I just want to welcome my dad and his wife. They're in Sierra Vista. They drove from San Antonio, so we're spending time with them this weekend. So it'll be good and nice to welcome them here. That's all I have.
Thank you, man. Excellent. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a personal share, and they're going to be watching this meeting because they're supportive parents, so they watch all of the meetings. My mom and dad are celebrating their 44th wedding anniversary, so I just want to wish them a happy anniversary. And that's all, Mr. Mayor.
44 years.
I know. Somehow, even though they raised me, they're still together after 44 years.
They did it.
No, Ranger Jim.
So again, like ditto with Councilman Rodriguez said, farewell to Major General EU Banks, and welcome Major General Dennis McFall, Netcom CG, McPhail. Why did I say McFall? McPhail. Also, thanks to Councilman Rodriguez, Chief Jones, Chief Heiser, to coming out to the 100 Men in Suits. Welcome back to Buena High School. It was a great morning, early morning, but great morning. The men just came out and just welcome our students, high five them back, make them feel like rock stars, and just thank you, appreciate you. I think that is it. Oh, Dancing Under the Stars is Saturday afternoon. If you would like to come out, I think it's at the TMAC again. Our own county attorney is dancing his Twinkle Toes, so we're excited to see him. They asked me, but I can't break dance no more. I think that is it. With that, we are dismissed.